Welcome to another episode of Go With Your Palate. I'm Joe Wagner. We got my co-host, Chris Fat Mario Rubio, and we're here with Robyn Youkilis. And, well, I think you should introduce yourself and what you do, because you have a lot of other items going on, but we're here to talk about how to center ourselves and be a little more conscious of how to be a better person for our own good.
Love that. With a healthy dose of fun. With a healthy dose of fun, because I believe it's really all connected. I am a wellness expert. I run my coaching practice now for 15 years, Your Healthiest You, 2-time bestselling author, and 2-time mama of 2 little girls, 8-year-old Navy and 3-year-old Dover. And I do speaking, lead retreats, travel around the world, helping people basically live the shit out of their lives in whatever way they need that in that moment.
That is awesome. I mean, how did you get into this?
Was that a better intro than you would have given?
That was a way better intro than I would have given. I was trying to get the rap sheet, because you have accomplished a lot.
Thank you.
In this space. And
so it's my booty off. I am tired. Let me just say right now, though, I am tired, and I'm really appreciative of myself in my 20s and 30s, because I did work so hard that now in my 40s recently, I'm having a moment of what am I trying to prove? Chill a little.
Yeah.
Just chill a little. And it's great, because I feel a little bit more spaciousness in my life where I can breathe and actually practice what I'm teaching on an even deeper and bigger level.
I think that in itself, that note of work your ass off when you're young, don't party through your 20s, and then enjoy. Hold on.
What are you?
No, so you did party through your 20s.
Oh my God.
But you worked your ass off?
But I could do both. That's the thing of your 20s and 30s.
We're learning how to balance it.
You can do both. You have the energy for that, and you should max it out. Burn the candle at both ends a little bit until you're okay, I'm ready to bring this a little bit more into balance in new ways, in new chapters of your life.
So I'll give you an example of my 20s, because I had a very not very fun 20s. I got to see my friends come back, and they're telling me their stories, where they traveled to, their college experiences, all that stuff, and I was just working. But I was really self-regulated to I think a fault. So I've learned in my 30s how to actually have fun. I didn't own a TV until I was 35. And then I wouldn't listen to music unless it was the weekends.
Wow.
And so I was just building a business and then having a whole bunch of kids.
Focused AF.
And then I was I'm missing out on life. And then I started having fun. And then it was but it was 30s.
Yeah.
And so, it's about balance. And I think that's something that the youth really could benefit from, getting some experience in. But you're out there educating. And so your demographic, if you were to call it a demographic, what are you typically working with?
Oh, that's cool. So most of my clients, I say, are in their 30s and 40s, people that I do one-on-one deeper work with. But in my group programs, it's everyone from 20s to 60s, because I think in your 20s, you're looking to have someone that you can look up to. Can I have kids and a life where, I'm more in my day-to-day routine, but still be myself and still have a good time. And I hope to embody that you can have fun, you can make your life look like your own. And then women who are in their 50s and 60s are I'm very much a you can sit with me girl. And if there's something that I'm wearing in fashion that you're that's cool, I'm well, here's how you can wear that too. And so even though their focus is more in the middle, 20s to 60s, everyone, the message is really enjoying your life and being in your body, grounding down, and then living up and big and bright.
All right. And I got to get straight into the difference between coaching men and women. What? Because you're dealing with 2 guys over here.
Yeah.
And
hi, guys.
I mean, one of us is obviously a little more feminine. I'm sitting on the couch with my pink pillow. That's me.
In your feminine energy. In
my feminine energy. So is there a different approach between how you coach men and women?
I've coached mostly women, I would say for sure, but I've had men in my group programs and men absolutely purchasing my books. What I say with men is you just have to start simpler and more basic. I feel like women are really good for the most part at multitasking, stacking habits, bringing in those little micro moments where they can do more, be more, live more. Men do better when they are just focused at one thing. So for my husband, for example, it's like his biggest reminder really is water. And that is going to be the biggest way that I can coach him is just how was your water intake today? Are you dehydrated? And, going to feel really crappy later. And so once that happens, did you go outside today? Did you walk around the block, or were you just focused at your desk the whole day? So simpler.
That checks
less,
out. I mean, that's, and I think that's just
and
like,
these are
that's
generalizations, of course.
Yeah,
but like,
stereotypes are there for a reason in many cases.
Mostly
and,
true.
And that one checks out. I mean,
Yeah.
that's, I'm definitely a single task kind of guy. Like,
exactly.
And you're driven when you have that single task, but yeah, you also miss out on the ability to be like, just into everything and into yourself.
Yeah, I'd rather you focus on one thing and be successful in achieving that than saying, I'm going to do all these different things and not doing any of it. And then you get discouraged and you don't build that momentum.
Yep.
And I mean, well, because I want to dive into the stuff of like, just diving into, you gave the best introduction, by the way, because
Thank
we're better than we could.
That was good.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think we should take that sound clip and like put it back in somewhere.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of off time, but yeah, we'll use that.
Because I love what you're saying. Here we are, Go With Your Palate, but you're Go With Your Gut. That was like one of your best-selling books. And so I know how there's been a big focus on the gut, and we're finding out so much more about how it not only affects like our physicality, but then also our mental state.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I've been diving in. Well, I want to say like just a personal side note on me is that it was actually when I was living in New York, because I lived here for a few years. It was Christmas, and I just got hit with 104-degree temp, and I had to go into the hospital on Christmas. And I was just like, I thought it was just going to maybe be a sick thing or fever. I was in there for a week. I went to ICU. The doctors basically told me, it's like your stomach exploded. That's the way we could best say it. Just ulcers, whatever. I won't get into what I kind of did, but hoping I didn't gross anyone out. But yeah, it was really bad. But I had a doctor coming in every day telling me something different. Oh, we think you have Ebola. Oh, we think it's salmonella. We think it's this. And so what that really drove me to do is when I got out of the hospital finally, I had to really focus because I was on 7 medications, including prednisone. They said you're going to have to be on dialysis all your life, and you're going to like leave your job. My whole life was going to change. So I had to really do research. And what it led me to was also looking into Eastern medicines, but also paying attention to diet. And that specifically drove me at that time to the clean diet. But I had to really kind of work at that and really kind of learned about how much the gut has effect on my life, And so now I'm here, no medications, free and stuff like that.
Yay,
so
snaps
yeah,
for you.
yeah. But,
Sorority snaps.
Yeah, but you also, that doesn't hold you back from really indulging. I mean, you had halal guys last night.
That's what I want to get to. But that's what,
So tell me, Robyn.
that's why Robyn is here, because you want to help me from
What's
relapsing.
okay, what's not?
Yeah, so
Yes.
so please, like, if you could just share your story with that and kind of fill us in. And please, I'm here to learn.
The how I got here. Well,
Yeah.
first of all, that's an incredible journey. Thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable with all of us. I'm sure a lot of listeners, viewers can relate that we've had some people have had a lot of serious gastric issues, and it's a hard road to navigate. For me, my background, my way into this was actually from a disordered eating past, kind of complicated, mixed in with a deep love of food, and like how do those two go together? My dad was a larger than life personality, loved to eat, was overweight his whole life and really struggled. And food was how we would connect. And so I too would kind of overeat, overindulge. And it was less about my weight and what my body looked like, and more that I was eating past the point of what my body needed. And I was uncomfortable and obsessing about it. And can I be skinnier and smaller and thinner? And, all those swirling thoughts. And eventually that led me to nutrition school because I was dating now my husband and going to the farmers markets. And I started to really get the difference between the abundance of fresh food that was at a farmer's market versus me trying to eat as little as possible and diet and, really just a disconnect from what I was eating. And I also think, my father passed away from cancer when I was 17. And I think into my 20s, I was still overeating and overindulging as a way to connect to him. And I didn't really know how to do that in a healthier way, which is a lot of what I focus more on now. And I feel like I've really come through that. And so when I went to nutrition school, I thought this is going to be the thing that heals me. This will be the thing that fixes me. And in some ways it did. I learned so much about gut health and why it's the center of everything we do in our bodies and where I, really focus on. But it also kind of was another diet, but I tried it. And so I learned that if I focused on my digestive health, it quieted the food noise. It was my way out of disordered eating behavior. It was my way to rebalance my body because at the end of the day, I was rebalancing my microbiome. And our microbiome, our guts, our digestive systems are responsible for 95% of where our serotonin is produced, for example, that feel-good neurotransmitter. It's 70 to 80% of our immune tissue, our immune function. And also in my story, I was overly antibiotic as a child. I had a heart condition, and at the time they were giving antibiotics for all dental treatments. So I had I had chronic sinus infection. So I had so much and overuse of antibiotics in my life, and it really did a number on my gut flora and the health of my microbiome. So going to nutrition school, healing my own digestive system, then I started to feel better. The disordered eating started to kind of fall away and naturally balance. And so that's where I started with my clients, and I would see the same things. If we focused on their gut health, so many other parts of their life got better.
And like timeline on that. So just the average person that's coming in, like, hey, help me out with, just getting on track, getting my microbiome going, like, feeling better. Is that a 2-month, 3-month process?
I love this question because I'm all about like reality. Like I do better if you're like, okay, that's going to take a year. I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe I thought it'd be less, but like, if I know it's going to take longer, like I can chill a little bit. I heavily dislike over promises of like, oh, this is a quick fix. First of all, nothing's a quick fix. Like your body, it likely took you quite some time to get to the state you're in now. It's going to take some real time to rebalance and get you to the next place. What I always say is if you just focus on some of the basic things like chewing your food, breathing more during meal times, eating more plants, things that grow out of the ground, less things in packages and processed artificial ingredients, you'll notice a shift within the first 3 months. Focusing on digestive health, adding a probiotic, little things like that, definitely you'll see a shift in the first 3 months. If you've got some bigger issues, IBS, any disordered eating patterns from your past, that's going to take at least a year, up to like 3 years potentially. And I would say for me to genuinely eat in a more intuitive way, what do I really want right now? What feels good to me? That took me probably at least 5, if not 10 years. And that's being totally honest.
Yeah.
But life's a long time, God willing.
Yeah. So, Chris just told me 2 days ago that he counted how many times I chewed my food. It was like 17. What number should I have been at? What, like you were like?
Well, you were at 12.
I was at 12.
Yeah.
Then I counted and I was at 17.
Yeah.
And you said I had to be at 20.
No. I was going to ask Robyn.
So,
I'm not the doctor.
Well, I'm not a doctor either. I wish that'd be nice to have a little like added to the list. But I love, if people always say like, what's the number one thing? I always say chewing because none of us are doing it. Our stomach doesn't have teeth. Digestion actually begins in our mouth. It's free. You can do it anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's a donut or if it's a carrot stick, and it's like you're going to benefit from chewing your food completely to liquid. That's the goal. I don't do it all the time. And I also say, like, if you've got 20 minutes for a lunch break, focus the first 5 minutes on chewing your food more. See what that feels like in your body. I've had people go to the best GI doctors in the world and then do my chewing challenge for 21 days. And they're like, in 3 weeks of just chewing my food, I'm like a different person. It is possible.
All right, so I'm going smoothie texture is what you want to achieve.
As close as possible. Again,
Okay.
not all steak's gonna
it's gonna take a
like
while.
good luck with that. And it's also just bringing, like with everything I teach, an awareness, intention, presence. All of that mindfulness work is going to help you on every level, whether you're trying to heal your digestive system or you're just trying to enjoy your life more. Yeah. It's all connected.
So you mentioned something that like I've had a couple experiences with. just processed foods, whatever you want to call it.
Not the devil. Sometimes it's fine. Go. I
Yeah,
don't want to
but- but getting
admonish
out-
anything. I love a good corn dog. Go ahead.
The halal last night was awesome. Like that was
Good.
guilty pleasure.
Enjoy.
Absolutely some processed crap in there, and I think I feel it today, honestly.
Yeah, you
It's
do.
it's a cleanse.
It does affect your brain. It does affect your brain, like brain fog. All that stuff's a real thing. But go on.
So Europe as a simple example. So like been to Europe a number of times, and we just went this last summer, and just went through and like ate whatever we wanted. Didn't really think about it. Just like, oh, I want to try this, that, and the other thing, and wanted to get the kids the experience of that too. And we really didn't like. I mean, everywhere we went, we never worried about what we were eating. We never overate, but we never, we weren't really worried about how many calories we were ingesting, right? So everything felt good. I actually lost weight on the trip and came back. Within like 2 days, I could already feel lethargic. And we're not eating,
shift.
corn dogs. We're eating we're eating like normal food, but it's stuff that you would get from the store that probably has some preservatives in it, whatever else. And so I mean, and I do want to get into what you see as the U.S. our government regulations or our allowances, more importantly, and what we could do better. And I mean, you have politicians finally talking about it.
Yeah.
And hopefully there's going to be a change, because the crap that we have in our food compared to what you'll see on even ingredient labels in other countries is
totally different.
completely different.
Yeah.
And I mean, just firsthand experience, I felt it.
Yeah.
And every time I've gone to another country, I feel it when I come back.
So, couple things with that. First off, as you know, the food supply there and the allowance of ingredients in what's produced is totally different. This is not like some crazy conversation we're having. If you compare a label for an Oreo cookie there and you compare a label for an Oreo cookie here, there's about 10 more ingredients on that label, comparatively speaking. So that's going to affect you. So yes, food quality, what's in our food, what's allowed is one big piece of it. The other big part of it is our cortisol levels. And so that's that hormone. You're going to spike and it's going to make your body go almost into like shock, into that fight or flight. And when we're typically on vacation, we're enjoying life, we are breathing more, we're relaxed more, and that has a major, major impact on how you digest and process your food. So even if you ate the same exact item, let's say it is the Oreo cookie from the US, and again, I enjoy an Oreo cookie from time to time, but let's say it's the Oreo cookie that you're having in the US. If you ate it the same way that you did in Europe, it would probably have a better outcome. So that's why I do like to teach breathing, relaxing during meal times. Are you constricting your belly? A lot of women are like sucking it in. It's just a habit. We're trying to all unlearn it collectively as a society. Are you relaxed? Can you bring some of that chill? Play calming music, light a freaking candle, whatever floats your boat. Look at the sun. Can you be calmer in your environment wherever you are? That right away, without a food change, is going to have an impact. And then, of course, what we can do to, eat an abundance of quality foods is ideal. But I never like to put so much pressure on every single thing that we put in our bodies. It's we're working, we're tired, we're doing the best we can. So what I say with that is, if you can get to a farmer's market, the carrot from the farmer's market is going to taste wildly different than the carrot you buy from the bag, even if it's organic at your grocery store. So check if you have a local farmer's market. Some places are food deserts. That's not possible. You do the best you can. If you can buy organic with some ingredients, wonderful. But also really just keeping it as simple as possible. If you want to eat more affordably on a budget, rice, grains, basic pastas, all of that is great. Just can you add in more vegetables, more produce, more fruits, more things from the earth as much as possible? I always like to focus on what I can do, where I can empower myself instead of why isn't it different? It could be like that. Because I find when I think about those things, I literally feel the negativity in my body and I get frustrated. And I think it's a balance between advocating for things to be different and also focusing on the good as much as you can, and doing what you can with what you can.
Yeah, and I mean, farmers markets, you probably have a plethora of them here, a lot more options and probably available more, maybe multiple times a week.
Yeah, and that's a total privilege.
Like in our tiny little town of St. Helena,
Right.
we have one on Friday morning,
Yeah.
and it's like it's got a good selection, but it is the best. Like I would much prefer to be getting all of my produce, my honey, all that stuff from the farmers market, and then I wish we had a meat purveyor. And that was one thing in these open air
Well, you can
markets
do one
in
of
other
those
countries.
meat boxes that deliver to you. So my farmer's market, we travel a lot on the weekends. I do a farm to people delivery box.
Okay.
There's tons of these services now. Butcher box, that's another one that I know that
we
would
did do butcher box.
and they're really cost effective. My farm box, I get so much produce. It's $49. It is all the produce that I need for the entire week, and it includes 2 proteins. So I get a chicken or a beef or a ground turkey and a fish.
Yeah.
And it is, we're a family of 4. It's 2 heads of broccoli. It's 3 peppers. It's a bunch of carrots. Like it's all the sweet potatoes. Like that's my produce for the week. It's $49. So if I build
That's
in
awesome.
some pantry, yeah. So like these things, again, not every area. You do the best you can with what you can in the moment of life that you're in, and maybe later you'll find yourself closer to a farm than you are right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and try to raise your own animals, all that stuff. It's not feasible in many cases.
No, that is not for me. Like animal husbandry and like having more, like my husband's like, do we ever want chickens? I'm like, no, I don't want chickens around. I'm happy to go down the street and buy someone else's eggs. But I really do think it's also that, like I said, that stress about what we're eating. Are you eating it in a rushed, hurried way? Are you saying, oh, this is a crappy choice, and feeling bad about it? Or are you saying, no, I'm making a choice to just enjoy what's in front of me now. Can I breathe? Can I chew completely? Can I get fresh air today? Did I drink enough water? These places where we can really move the needle. These are big needle movers, even though they don't sound that dramatic.
And I like the logical approach to it, right? It's not like either 100% in or you're not going to be benefiting from it, because reality is reality, and we're going to be falling
Totally.
off the rails sometimes.
I can't live my life like that either.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't sound very fun to me.
But hydration is super important
Super important.
for every part of your body function.
Yes.
Right?
And I have a note on hydration.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Just to make sure, because I'm sure a lot of people still don't know this one because it feels like it's getting a newer conversation. Most of us are chronically dehydrated, and especially if we're just drinking plain water, because at a certain point, your organs can't actually absorb it and use it, and it just flushes out into urine, which is fine. You're still hydrating and flushing, but you're not really getting hydration on a cellular level. So if you're like, I am drinking 8 glasses of water a day, I still feel tired or, fatiguey or like that head heavy feeling, try adding a pinch of sea salt to your water. Do you know this? Celtic sea salt.
He's looking at me.
He keeps telling
Himalayan,
me.
do it, and some
He's like,
lemon.
use this salt
Yep.
and only drink this water while and add whatever
He's
to it.
right.
Robyn, I love you.
All right,
That's what I'm here for anytime.
So now, because I know your answer to this, what is the bottled water that you would go to? You'd say that is the best bottled water that would be available nationally, and in what type of package?
Oh gosh. Well, I try not to go to bottled water. So I have a home filtration system. That is something that we invested in. It's a custom kit. This local guy I know builds it, but I definitely recommend filtered water, ideally. And if it's not filtered, then a glacial source, ideally not in plastic. So Path water is a good option because it's in aluminum. You can reuse those bottles, and metal is endlessly recyclable. Whereas plastic, it's a mixed bag. Even if they're saying they're recycling it, it may not be for various reasons. And so filtered water in your own home sink, ideally. And then you also can get a charcoal stick. On Amazon, pack of 10 for $2, and you can put the charcoal sticks in your own water bottles. That's also something really accessible and really doable. That charcoal stick will last you for half a year, and it costs cents to buy. So things like that. And then I do use electrolyte powders as well. I tried them all. I love them all. But a lot of them do have artificial or natural flavorings, things like that, and it can kind of mess with your palate a little bit, because if you're overly sweeted, it sort of can skew what you think should be a natural sweet tasting something. So I'm kind of mindful of that. But also adding chlorophyll drops to your water is really good for cleansing liver, detoxifying,
I haven't heard that one.
oxygenating the blood. That's what I have in my water here. That's why my water's green.
Okay.
So Philosophy is a great company. It's my friend's company, actually. It's a superfood company, but she also makes these chlorophyll drops with a little bit of mint essence in it. Would you like to try?
Wait, you saw me like
Green water.
I'll try it.
So little things like that. One bottle, you can get it on Amazon, is going to last you probably for a year. So just all these little ways that we can support our bodies to do the best for us. But hydration is such a big one. And yeah, a little bit of salt, lemon, or the powders are great. Chlorophyll's great. But there's all the ways.
Okay, so you filter water to get basically almost zero value in that water, but then add back to it
Well,
your
you just want to
electrolytes
filter out
and
the
your
bad stuff.
Yeah.
And just,
But in the process of filtering
yes.
out the bad, you're going to filter out the good.
Yeah, and you got to add it back in.
So you add it back in.
Yeah.
So chlorophyll, because I do want to, I've never heard about this. So chlorophyll, does that have anything to do with the mitochondria in your body?
It's essentially just like the greens that you get from plants.
Yeah, but does it help with like on a cellular level?
I don't know. I haven't studied personally the mitochondria connection, but I do know that like if it's impacting you on a cellular level, it's probably impacting your mitochondria turnover and rejuvenating your cells in that way. I'm not the expert to speak to that, but
remembering
it sounds
something in science about the two being
there
related.
you go. You're educating us.
And so I'm like, all right, now I'm going to go read on this because that's I've been really thinking about my mitochondria.
Yes. Well, that's your brain health. That's your cellular turnover. That's your mitochondria is going to determine like how the age your body feels and how well you're preserving or taking care of yourself.
I'm barely on my journey in this like biohacking thing. He keeps pushing me to like really get into this. And I mean, I've got a PEMF mat.
Me too.
She's got the same mat.
I love that mat.
Oh, you have it?
I do.
Yeah.
Look, things like with biohacking, what I always say is like there are full-blown biohackers out there. If you enjoy it, go for it. Do you need all the stuff? No. But for someone like me, I live in New York City. I'm on concrete and cement all the time.
Yeah.
I see very little, flora, fauna, things like that. And so if I could sit on a mat that is made of crystals that come from the earth and are heated, and it helps to ground me, I'm going to do that. And, in some of the sessions that I do, I teach a modality, or rather work with a healing modality called Universal Health Principles, and it believes that the body can heal itself. And the body can heal itself when you are in your parasympathetic nervous system. So if I'm on this mat and it's grounding me and slowing me down, and I'm spending time in my parasympathetic nervous system that rest and digest instead of our fight or flight, healing is going to happen. And so, yeah, shit's real.
And so what level do you like to run your PEMF at?
Well, they have all the different, they're for different,
there's four
frequencies.
settings. Yeah, the
Yes.
frequency you have 7, 14, 20, like it's
Yes, different.
So, and I think 7 is Earth's natural frequency, right?
Yeah.
Or 7.4, whatever it is. So, but then you can go above that. And so like, it's taken a while for me to just experiment with it and understand what my body does best with.
Yeah, see where you notice the
So
difference.
like the level 3, which I think is like 20, 24, somewhere in there.
That's my fave.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right. Nice.
So I know the 5, like I'll do 5 if I need energy. Like that's kind of my like up it up a bit. But generally I do between 2 and 3, and I usually intuitively choose. And so that's one of the fun things when your digestive system is working better for you, that's your gut, right? So we talk about gut hits, gut knowing, go with your gut. You're going to hear that intuition louder and more clearly when things are functioning at their optimal. And so I use my intuition for everything. So even choosing what level on the PEMF mat, what I'm putting in my water that day, I'm like, what does my body need right now? And I listen for the answer.
Well, we are a species, right? And every species out there is operating on intuition.
Totally.
I mean, from
Lean in, friends. Lean in. Like
don't wait for somebody to tell you what to do, but
Yeah.
just go with what you feel is the right thing to do. Although we do have temptation all around us, and that's
But my practice
push that
around
away.
that is like tuning into yourself first and really validating your inner voice. And also knowing like if you haven't been listening to it for a while or it's unclear for you, it's going to be a process to, hear it more clearly. I like to practice it when I say to my clients, to my community, use your intuition for everything. Like literally, we're going to lunch after this. I'm going to say, what would feel good for me right now? What do I need? Do I need something grounding, something warm, something light, like a salad, something bright? Like what would feel good for me? And I actually hear it. Like I hear it and I feel it. And the science around that, the research around that is so there. It's wild. So yeah, practice, use it. And then also the kicker with that is you need to actually listen to it. So when you hear that intuitive hit, the more you listen, the more you're going to hear it more. It's like this self-validating structure we all have inside of us.
Yeah, and you got to train that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And takes time as far as your like time question earlier. Like that could take you a month. It could take you 10 years, It took me a long time to start to listen to it. Like I would hear it, but I would steamroll over it. You know, like
I love that term.
like you need rest, you know, like you need rest tonight. I'd be like, I know I need rest tonight, but like, I don't wanna.
Yeah, we steamrolled last night. That was like an amazing Chinese restaurant, and we ate plenty while we were there and drank plenty. And then we steamrolled right past the idea of going back and going to sleep, and had some amazing street food.
And that's okay, and then you just, what I say with that is, of course, like live your life.
Yeah, you got to
balance it, but then you balance it. So the next day, okay, can I go for a 20-minute fresh air walk before I get going with my day? Can I make myself a cup of like digestive tea that has mint in it or ginger in it? Something like that helps me rebalance and restore. Your body is always working to support you. You just got to give it a little bit of help.
Yeah.
And when you talk about, I'm glad we brought up like about steamrolling, because we talked a little bit about before, which I thought was really interesting, because you have a great life balance. You can go out and have fun, and it's not like you have to live this restricted life. Yeah, I mean, you do all the things. You're your mom and everything that you're doing with all your programs and stuff. And so I wanted to get to like, so we were talking about a night out. Didn't you say that there's a way to kind of prep?
Yes,
for like a really good time. Like for
bit.
Example, I think we're going to be going to the box tonight.
No,
yep,
we're not.
Yep, we're going to, because Joe really wants to go. That's the one place you want to go to New York. If you want, look it up.
That's like a full-in night, just so everybody knows what we're talking about here.
We're not going to the box for everybody out there, but yeah,
I'll just edit that out.
I've been to the box. Chris really wants to go to the box. It's an experience, but it is something that you need to prepare for. So, Robyn, how would you prepare for a night like of that magnitude?
Yeah. So I'm going to get into supplementation a little bit.
Okay.
So when we're drinking alcohol, imbibing, whatever it is, we're going to be pulling resources out of our body. And there's certain things that we pull more than others. So vitamin C is one of them. So a high dose of vitamin C, if you've got whatever your vitamin C is that you take 2 of, or a powder, have 2 packets, have 4, you'll just pee out what you don't need. So high dose of vitamin C. Another one are certain amino acids. So NAC is a great supplement to take if you're going to have a night out. And then also B12. So B is another one that we just pull that resource when we're overindulging, overdrink, whatever it is. Even if you're regular drinking, these are things that are just going to be really supportive. So those are the 3 that I focus on. And then of course, I'm always taking my probiotic, which is really helpful for digestive health. I'm always taking my magnesium, which our body needs for so many of our systems processes. And then of course the extra electrolytes. Like I'm doing all the hydration before, I'm doing all the hydration after. And then when I get home at the end of the night, I also like doing legs up the wall. So just scooch in your little
literally.
butt. Yeah, literally.
Okay.
So scoot your butt to the headboard, get your legs up, and it will help with blood flow, help balance your body. You'll probably sleep better. And also just know, like I said, coming back to that stress, that cortisol thing, you might have a shitty night of sleep. Let it be worth it. Like, okay, I've got some intention. I know I might be tired the next day. I'm going to do what I can with supplementation, with body, support. But also I just might be a little foggy, but, enjoy. But that's when it's time that you don't need to keep going, where you do need to listen to your intuition and say, like, is this a resource I need to be pulling? Is it worth it? And sometimes you get it right and sometimes you get it wrong.
So I got a couple timing questions, because I feel like I'm doing a lot of things right. But so like magnesium, as an example, when is the best time if you're taking that as a supplement?
I like it at night, but I always say it's most important for when you remember. Supplements only work if you actually take them. So if for some reason it never happens.
You buy the bottle. No, dude, I'll show you what I got. I got this whole pill case. I feel like
Does that work for you?
I feel like I'm 80 years old.
Pill case? Okay, great.
Dude, it's like, and I pack it up once a week and refill everything and like. But then I also am going to do like B12 shots. And I told you about my fear of needles.
Great. Yeah.
But B12 shots. And so like my B12 levels are like through the roof. And that lasts for a while, right? You don't need a B12.
That's probably how you're functioning so well in the life that you live.
It probably is.
A piece of it.
Like, I feel like once I hit 40, I was like, I got to find some other shit to help me out. And that's when I started like looking into this.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I'm gonna be 45.
It really does help.
It does help. Those things do help. So yeah, I always say like, yes, ideally there are certain times like a probiotic is really supportive at night because your digestive system is most relaxed. So it can be the most effective. That being said, if you're like I remember to take a handful once during the day, take a handful once during the day. It's fine. I really love New Chapter supplements for that reason because they're really, easy on the digestive system. You don't need food to take them because they're fermented, so it's easier for your body to digest and absorb them. So not all supplements are created equal. That's one brand
Let's
I'm a
talk
fan
about
of.
fermented.
Fermented food is one of my favorite topics.
Yeah.
So because obviously we ferment the shit out of stuff. Like we
But not
Right now
doesn't
and
have
now,
the
but no.
live probiotic benefits. But yes,
I will
fermented
actually-
wine, chocolate, bread. Everyone's having fermented foods every day.
I will tell you that if you we're tasting every day during our harvest season, which is going on right now, and we analyze for a number of different bacteria and yeast strains, right? And so when the whole craze of kombucha started like 15, 20 years ago, I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is the exact same stuff that we have in our fermenters.
Like, this is what I've been drinking forever.
But the problem is we filter our wine, or most people filter their wines. But once, I used to do all my wines unfiltered. And we wanted those populations to be completely gone or no food for them to consume, right? So
It changes it, right? It changes the...
well, then it'll re-ferment the wine.
Yeah.
So if you have a certain bacteria and you have a certain acid in the wine that bacteria can consume and convert,
like chemistry
then
class.
it would actually, then it will actually re-ferment and it'll flaw the wine more or less. So we are always conscious of that part of it. But when we have a stable wine that is unfiltered and you have those dead cells, so to speak, they can come back to life. I'm curious if you have any thoughts on if those, in that amount of time, so you consume a glass of wine that has been unfiltered, do you think that there is any benefit to that in the short period of time that your body digests
What
it?
do you think I'm going to say?
I think you're going to say no.
No.
Okay, that's what I thought too.
Sorry.
So I guess what I was really hoping for, the sense of self-preservation, that whether it's filtered or unfiltered wine, it doesn't make a difference.
It doesn't make a difference with that. I always say, like, it needs to be a live probiotic strain, billions of bacteria culture, that's growing, thriving, and comes in different forms. So we get that through fermented yogurt, products like kefir, the kombucha, like you said, fermented vegetables, sauerkraut, kimchi, things like that. There might be a small to moderate amount in the unfiltered wine. And I actually prefer unfiltered things. Like I love things like foggy, funky, like I love unfiltered sake. And it, in my world in nutrition, I feel like unfiltered is kind of better for you in some way, but I don't know that it is because of the probiotics potential.
Well, I mean, if you're...
You know more than I do.
Nobody's going to sell a filtered kombucha because then there's no point, right?
Correct.
Then you're just drinking
Correct. Then you're
soda.
vinegar, I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly.
Which
Drink
would probably
a
be good
sour
for salad
tea.
dressing, but you might as well have the live enzymes. So.
Yeah. Okay, so back to... Well, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, because I noticed something about the kombucha craze too, is that like before it seemed like there was the serving sizes have changed. And so
I'm
this
so
is,
glad you're bringing that
okay,
up.
awesome. Because like that was where I was like, because I was drinking these whole bottles before,
Yeah.
and I was like, I think I've been drinking like way too much kombucha.
You have.
Yeah.
The
So I
serving
could
size is a
overdo
little.
it. So please,
Yeah.
if you could touch on that.
So for those who don't know, kombucha is a fermented tea. They introduce a live organism known as a SCOBY. That SCOBY grows, creates beautiful bacteria. You are bacteria. We are walking, living bacteria. So the more that we can nourish that bacteria, what we are, and help them grow, have different strains, different varieties, the better our guts are going to function, and then everything else will function. So fermented tea is one option. Yes, the servings are way off. So a serving of kombucha is technically 2 to 4 ounces. So think like a shot glass or
Okay,
two.
yeah.
Yeah. So when you look at the larger bottles, like something like GT's, for example, I do believe it says 2.5 servings in that bottle.
Oh, wow.
No,
So
yeah.
they do say it, but no one's paying attention to any of that.
Yeah.
We're killing those bottles.
Yeah. So you want to have like a half to a third. And I actually, because I like to have a nice large full glass, like almost like a beer glass or something. So what I'll do is I'll mix it with sparkling water or something like that, add some fruit in, make it fancy. But yeah, that is one option you can have that's delicious, I think, to add more live probiotics to your microbiome.
Yeah, so is there a negative to ingesting that volume?
It's a lot of sugar. Like the SCOBY, the live bacteria, the live organism needs sugar to populate. It's not like a negative, like sugar can be used in a positive way in that process, but it's still going to have like a high dose. So it's just not needed. And some people, they need to just go in the slow and low lane when it comes to probiotics. If your digestive system isn't functioning at its optimal best, and likely if you're eating on the go a lot, having a lot of packaged processed foods, you're not making your food from the farmer's market as often as you would like to be, your gut bacteria might not be able to handle such an abundance. So you might have some cramping or just not feel so great, or kind of messes with your digestive system. More is not more in that case.
I was gonna say I have some friends that it affects in that way, where increased bowel movements or something like that because they're over ingesting. Just friends. No.
That's it.
Not
I've
you
actually
at all.
I've heard that too. That doesn't happen to me. Nope.
Yeah, I
but
can drink a ton of kombucha
Yeah.
too, and it's fine. I love it. I just have to remember, it's not intended to be ingested in this way.
Yeah.
So that also brings me to the note when you think about sauerkraut and kimchi. Those things were originally designed, well, first of all, for preservation of food. The probiotic power of them happened to be an afterthought. But the second thing is they are designed as condiments. You're supposed to have a little bit. So if you have a live fermented sauerkraut, and I'm not talking about what comes in a can or at a hot dog at a baseball park, you want it to be in the refrigerated section. It's a live probiotic.
Yep.
The only ingredients are salt and the vegetable and maybe some other fun stuff in there, but there should not be any vinegar, anything like that. It's meant to be a condiment, like a ketchup, like a mustard.
Yep.
So a forkful, a few forkfuls, that's all the probiotics you need. I once read, I don't know how validated the study is, but 1 jar of fermented sauerkraut is the equivalent of 11 bottles of probiotic pills.
Wow.
So think of it that way.
Yeah. Wow. And I will also say it's very easy to make your own.
It is easy to make your own, but I
I
don't want to
think-
intimidate anybody. I like to make
know.
fermented vegetables because I think that's actually easier because you can make a saltwater brine and then chop the vegetables, put it together, and just leave it. Sauerkraut, you need to massage. Sometimes it can be affected by the moon cycles or where if a woman's making it on her cycle. It's
It's
a very
actually a lot of fun to make.
it's your
it.
bacteria going into it. So there's a
Yeah.
conversation there.
Yeah.
But yes, it is super fun. And you have the barrels and the whole thing. And
Yeah.
Are you
I mean,
going to start like a kombucha kraut business
No,
alongside it?
Are we doing that?
Are you doing that?
Is
I
that
feel
what
you
this is?
should.
This is a collaboration.
I'll come
I've made-
out
I've made
and I'll
some-
taste and we can do some food pairing stuff
Oh
with it.
yeah.
I've made kombucha. I don't like my kombucha. But also when you're buying GTs or something, there's
Do
some
you put?
juice
I was
in
gonna
there.
say,
so
are you putting sugar and all the? Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
they're
adding
cheating a little
sugar,
bit,
but
but it's
they're-
okay. They're making it palatable
Exactly,
for
yeah.
a newer customer who may not be,
So there's a little bit of
down
bad with a lot of
less.
good. Yeah. But sauerkraut and pickles, all that stuff. Yeah, I love doing all that.
And that stuff has a sour flavor to it. And in society, we're generally over-sweeted, over-salted. That's what they're doing in the food labs. That's the foods that we gravitate towards. It's not our fault. It's actually, survival, to gravitate towards those foods. But in our palates, we also really need sour foods. So that's where those sour pickled vegetables come in. And they're really good for balancing your body, balancing your digestive system. Also bitter. Bitter is a taste, a flavor we don't typically go to. So bitter greens, having some dandelion, arugula, things like that are really just going to nourish your microbiome. And it's just such a simple thing that you can add in. If you're having a salad, just chop up some dandelion greens that go in it. And it cleans out your system. It does so much work for you. Nature is amazing.
Yeah.
Bring a little more in,
Well, one thing also about so let's cultures, right? Not human cultures, but cultures where cheese in say Europe, we were talking about earlier. I noticed that digests much better than here. And again, going back to our government, USDA mandating that everything be pasteurized here before it's put on the market. Where do you stand on pasteurization? Is there really truth behind that, or is this just mind over matter, or that I'm relaxed on vacation enjoying the cheeses all throughout Europe? But it really did that was the biggest difference I saw was in dairy, the ease of digestion of dairy in Europe versus the difficulties that people have with dairy here in the States.
Yeah. So one thing is the supply. So if you're in Europe, it's how those cows are treated. Are they raised on beautiful grassy land? Are they happy? Little things like that. It's going to affect you. And then the next layer of that is what kind of dairy. So people typically have an easier time digesting sheep and goat. Just less enzymes. It's easier on the digestive system. And then raw. If you're having a raw dairy, a lot of people who can't digest regular dairy, can digest raw. So that's something that you can play with yourself. You can find raw, unpasteurized, goat and sheep cheese here. But cow, you have a harder time finding that. So I think with things like that, try experimenting and see if you come across a product like that. Some people thrive with it. Some people, it's just, they can't digest it. And that's okay.
Yeah. Definitely.
And they can add in some enzymes. Like if they're like, I love my pizza, I want to partake, add in some digestive enzymes. You can have that before your meal, or if you have after your meal, papaya enzymes are really great. I take that after a meal. It helps me feel better and process my food better.
Yeah, that used
But
to
it
be
help
my
things along.
like favorite breakfast: papaya and lime.
So good for you.
Like
so yeah. And did you know that the seeds in papaya are actually also really good for your system? You can chew them. They're really spicy. Yeah, just a few. Just
Can you can
you can
chew
chew
them?
those. Yeah.
I usually try to try everything.
Yeah,
At
the
some
natural
point.
enzymes in
That
them,
was one
yeah.
thing I'm always like, those things look so nasty.
They look intense.
So-
just a few. Just a few. It's not like
Okay.
a handful. You're not like going for gold here. Just a few.
And they're spicy.
Yeah, they're very spicy. But again, good for your system. Gets things moving,
Yeah.
moving, going.
All right, I'm gonna give that a shot.
Yeah.
Have you ever
Report
had
back.
a papaya seed?
No, but I'm gonna start eating.
Do
them.
you
Well,
eat
just a few.
papaya?
Just a few.
Every once in a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really rich in natural enzymes.
Yeah, I like to go if I like to grab something like a papaya, mango, dragon fruit that's a little outside of my normal apple, banana.
That's cool.
Thing like that. So
And just to connect all of this, the more we can help our digestive system along, the more energy you're going to have for you. So if your body has to work extra hard to process your food, let's say you don't chew really well, you're not adding in any of these fermented foods, probiotics, things like that, breathing when you eat, it just takes, your body will handle it for you. It just takes more energy. And so that's when we're tired after meals, we feel sluggish, we wake up feeling sluggish. All of this is to help your body do its job that it's already doing so that you have more reserves for you to enjoy your life.
And is part of that your body fighting off inflammation?
Part of it, yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's all comes into play.
I had one question too, just because we were talking about a little just before about not all supplements are created equal. There's been this focus about methylated
Yeah.
vitamins and stuff like that, and I was just gonna say what you thought, if that's something that you should be concentrating on as well, which is they're basically prepped for your body to better, I guess, digest or
Yeah.
take in the nutrients.
Can you explain for us what methylated the process is roughly?
He's getting real niche here.
Yeah, it's really
He's a niche guy.
He's getting real niche here.
Yeah, I think I and I'm still learning, so obviously, so I'm not the expert on it, but it's just another thing that some people are talking about, like Gary Brecka or something like that you have to get a methylated vitamin because like I was saying, not only for your body, I guess, to take in the nutrients better, but then also some of these vitamins have chemicals that aren't good for your body, supposedly. That they're not, I know some of them are even related to, it's going to sound weird, and again, I'm not an expert, but cyanide, but because it's not it would hurt you, but it kind of has these compounds, it's connected to these compounds that still, could be negative for your body. So what happens is these laboratories, when it's methylated, they're just actually breaking it down for you, so your body doesn't have to deal with that. So I mean, I don't know.
Absorption rates.
Yeah,
are
absorption
faster.
rate. So some people have certain genetic predispositions where they can't break down and absorb some certain B vitamins. There's other vitamins in that category. You can get tested for that. That's why I do recommend fermented vitamins that have been through a biofermentation process so that it is pre-broken down, it's kind of pre-digested. And that's why also, even with supplements, if you're going to add a little bit of fermented foods to your meals, it's also going to help you break down, digest your supplements too.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I just like it that you brought up that these are interesting things that now we're starting to think about and actually kind of look into the things that we're taking. So we're not just going into a store and being like, oh, multivitamin, that's what I need.
Right.
And actually start educating.
Well, I mean, these engineered foods have gone on for so long and they've been so successful, and it was just such an easy source of sustenance. And I think people are now finally realizing that's not, those are not the foods that we're supposed to be eating all the time. And I think the youth is really into it, and they're learning about it, in real time as we're learning about it. Even though for 40 years of my life, it was crackers were Triscuits or saltines.
I mean, I lived and died by Snackwells.
And now I've got some of the crackers that are out there. We all survive, but you get
It
to
is
see that
different
there is more of a holistic approach to a
Yeah.
lot of the options that are in the store, and I think that's a great thing. But it's good to see that the younger generation is being conscious of this because
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
Conscious, not crazy. That's the goal.
yeah.
You know, and
Conscious, not crazy. That's perfect.
yeah, conscious, not crazy. And then I do appreciate when you can make a swap or an upgrade. There's so many food brands now. For example, like if you're going to reach for a cracker, Simple Mills. If you look at the Simple Mills label, you know what all of those ingredients are. They're food-based ingredients. So there are companies that are doing it. It does cost more, but you have to see, like, in my life, where am I putting my earnings? Like, where is the value that I'm deciding what's important to me over something else?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just want to say, like, also too, because it's been mentioned a lot too, as we're talking. Gosh, you're so brilliant, and it extends even past like the gut knowledge. But you've been mentioning a lot too, as we're talking about the gut, is it keeps coming about breathing and meditation, and these words come up, and it takes me back to just the story I shared before. Those were also things I had to add to heal myself.
Mindfulness
So I was actually
practices.
wondering we could kind of because I've just been reading about the unique meditations that you have, and like including like EDM music and stuff like that. So I'd just like to hear some about
My
that.
style of
your
meditation.
style.
Yeah.
Please.
So yeah, one thing that I've learned is
Is this really the end? Unbelievable. Find out next week.